Welcome to episode 73 of the Epilogue Lady podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook and Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. I also have a Ko-fi page where you can support the podcast and make sure I have money for shipping out prices. And speaking of prices, there is a make-along starting April 1st, and I'm going to show you the prices at the end of the podcast when we are talking more about the make-along. I have some really great prices and can't wait to show you. One of the things I can talk about straight away is what I'm wearing, because I was supposed to knit this in the make-along, but I couldn't help myself, so I finished it. You can start anything you want before April 1st, but you can't finish it before April 1st. That makes sense, because whips are allowed, but you can't be more than 50% done April 1st. And this is the Sugar Maple by Carina Spencer. If I try to stand on my tippy toes, you can see that it goes down in a point in the front, and in the back it's straight. You have to pardon the jeans because they're too big for me and they keep sliding down, but they're really comfy, so I wear them anyway. But I don't wear them when I leave the house, just to make sure. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to. I'm like a news anchor. I look really good from the waist up, or as good as I can. And as you can tell, my summer haircut is in place, and it's typical because their forecast says below 0 temperatures and maybe snow. So that's typical me, I guess. And one more thing, we got AC yesterday. AC is not typical for our part of Norway. Normally people don't need air conditioning this far north. Air conditioning is not normal in Norway as a whole, but because of the way this apartment is constructed with all the windows facing the sun, it's like a greenhouse. So we decided to get air conditioning, and it got mounted yesterday. So now I have a big white box on my wall, and hopefully it will make the summer more bearable. And since I'm dyeing yarn and everything, and it's this hot in here, that doesn't help. I haven't spoken to anybody yet today. So this is Thursday work. I never get out of bed before hubby leaves for work. So we're both kind of grumpy in the morning, so makes sense. None of us have to speak to the other before we have had our first coffee in the morning. Relationship tip there for you. If you're grumpy in the morning and you don't have to have any contact in the morning, don't. Of course, we get up together when we have a vacation, but then we can sleep in, sort of. And me being menopausal and sleep deprived doesn't help. So that was sort of, I started with my epilogue today. This is turning into being a special episode in more ways than one. I haven't got a lot of knitting, so thankfully I can rant a bit, or not rant, but babble on about things that's not relevant. I can talk a bit about life stuff before I start with the knitting, because if you're only interested in the knitting, I will get there eventually, but a bit about the life stuff, because there's a reason why I haven't done a lot of knitting, and as you will see later, I haven't done a lot of dyeing either. I have a shop update on Sunday, but it's not a big one, because last week we had a lovely lady from Latvia staying with us. She's a teacher in a high school in Latvia, and she was staying with us to follow my husband around at work. And then we did some stuff with her after work. We went out for dinner, and we went to an art auction, and I got 5 new pictures to put on my walls, and we haven't got a lot of wall space. So I struggled a bit to get everything up on the walls, and what I did sacrifice was a couple of pictures that I made. The other stuff got placed on the walls. So that's why I haven't done a lot of knitting. I did a bit of knitting in the evenings, but mostly on this. So this is my only FO. The sweater I'm wearing. That's my only FO. So that was what, and this week there's also a bunch of teachers visiting Hubby's high school. So he's this week he has been there's been some strange working hours. Last night I went with him because we were go out. We went out for dinner. Words difficult. English is my second language, as I keep saying, but I've been practicing my English a lot because we spoke. I don't speak Latvian, neither does hubby. So last week we spoke a lot of English, and that was it for life stuff. Nothing more exciting happening. We have made some plans for Easter. We're going to Tromsø, and that will mean an episode of Bente's Bag of Holding, probably. There was no Bente's Bag of Holding, but as I just told you, we've had people staying with us, and I could of course have made the Bente's Bag of Holding out of the art auction and stuff. And if you can tell, if you hear sounds in the background, that's Snape. Yes, he's really back to his old self, and it's really good to see. So he's running around playing with a lot of toys, because when before he came to put the AC on the wall yesterday, I had to pull the couch 1.5 meters out from the wall. And as those of you who have cats and maybe dogs know, that's where all the cat toys end up, behind the couch. So he has about 5 or 6 new toys to play with, and he's having a ball. He started last night, and me and hubby, we can't be annoyed, because he was really sick at the moment, for a moment there, and it looks like the surgery did the trick. So he's back to being good old Severus Snape. So thank you to those of you who sent some warm thoughts and good thoughts and commented on my Instagram posts. They're not called fur babies for nothing. So that's it for life stuff, and now we can start talking about the knitting. So I've knit on this. So this is my finished object, and the other stuff I have been knitting on you have seen before, but I'll show you anyway. This is my woolen honey in this bag that Sue gave me. It's not made by her, but it was a present from her to me, and this is my woolen honey, and it's not going real fast, and it's full of cat hairs as well, because I'm on Body Island and every other row is a purl row, and I'm not too thrilled about purling, so this might end up being cropped for all I know. So that was my woolen honey. It's not, actually hibernating, but it's not. It might actually get put aside so I can knit on the tee I'm planning on casting on for the make-along. So that might be put aside because the season for sweaters like that is coming to an end. And the Fair Isle sweater for my son, I wanted to finish it for Easter because we were planning on going to visit him. But I don't think I can manage to finish it for Easter, so I think I'll just put it aside and start knitting on it again this fall. And then I can cast on some socks and stuff. So the other sweater I'm knitting on is a sample for the local yarn store. I'm on the second sleeve. The yarn is, let's see if I can find a ball that still has the tag on it. The yarn is Fairy Tale, it's a brushed alpaca. I don't think you can get this yarn internationally, but brushed alpaca you can get probably. And the sleeves are really special because this is the first time I've knit a sleeve bottom up and done decreases, because this is what you call these bell sleeves. So you start down here, you increase every stitch after the ribbing, and then you start decreasing. And this sleeve is finished, and I'm about to start the decreases of sleeve number 2. The body is finished up to the sleeve openings, and it's a raglan bottom up. And it's the first time I've knit a raglan bottom up in years, because in Norway the typical way to knit a sweater is bottom up. And since I started using English and American patterns, I knit all my sweaters top down. And I prefer that because you can try it on as you go along. That's not as easy with a sweater like that. You have to measure and hope that the sleeve openings match. Or that you, if you think that the sweater might be shorter than you think, it might be longer than you think, because you just have to cross your fingers and hope that the sleeve openings aren't too deep or too narrow. And so, but I'm knitting that exactly as the pattern tells me, because it's a sample. So it's a raglan, bottom up raglan, and the pattern is Carin by House of Yarn, or the Store Alpaca. And again, that pattern you can't get internationally, but it's a whip. So I wanted to show you, even though you can't get the pattern, unless you're Norwegian, of course, then you can get the pattern. So I'm going to, I can show you the pattern. Let's see, it's a free pattern for those of you. I of course have the pattern somewhere else, and here we are back with the pattern. And this is what it looks like. As you can tell, it's a hoodie, so I'm going to knit so I'm not finished when I'm finished with the sleeves and have assembled those to the sweater. There's also a hood I have to do. I'm trying to focus on that, because I want to finish it so I can knit on something else. I ought to show you what it's in. And again, cat hair. This is a beautiful backpack that Sue made for me. I really love this thing, and this is what I'm using when I'm traveling. So when we're going to Tromsø, I'm going to use this backpack, probably. But I also have a purse that hubby bought me when we were in England the last time, and I really love that. It's a crossbody Dr. Martens, and if you know me, you know I'm kind of obsessed with Dr. Martens. So I didn't need another pair of boots, so hubby decided I could get a crossbody bag instead. And I did not argue with him. So that was my... I have one more whip to show you. It's in this cute little basket that my friend Elisa made for me. And I have something, and she has donated one of the prizes for the tea time make along, and I'll show you that in a bit when I show you the rest of the prizes. But what I'm knitting is a pair of socks in Glamrock, one of my own self-striping yarns, and I've already shown you the finished sock as a whole. But this is Glamrock, and I have Glamrock in stock, I think. Yes, I have Glamrock in stock. So that was my... in case you were wondering, this is the same basket as the basket in the Valentine kit. I have one left of this. Those baskets are bigger than this. This is a tiny cute one she made for me. So that's my last whip. And I have an announcement before I start talking about other stuff. Where did I put my show notes? Behind me? No, that's not my show notes. It's one of these days. I have to go get the show notes as well. I'm a true professional, so I thought I had everything organized, but obviously I didn't. So let's check here. I've been talking about everything, and all I have left to talk about is the make-along and show and tell. And first of all, I have an announcement. I did a giveaway for a toddler-sized set of a flax sweater and a barley hat, and the winner was Laura Armstrong. I still haven't heard back from her. So if I don't hear back from Laura Armstrong before my next episode in 2 weeks, I'll have to redraw that prize from the comments below that video. Just so you know. So Laura, please contact me. You can do it via email. My email address is down below on the screen. And you can also contact me on Instagram via direct message. And you can contact me on Ravelry via direct message. Please get in touch so I can send you your prize. And again, I'm redrawing in 2 weeks. Severus is aware that some of you are worried, so he's decided to make his presence known, so you know that he's back to normal. So then we're going to show and tell. And I have a few acquisitions this time. I decided to cheer myself up a bit, so I got myself some yarn. Not that I needed any more yarn, but anyways. So we could start with this self-striping from one of my favorite self-striping dyers, Nicole C Mendez. And this was a pre-order. When I saw these colors, I just had to have it, and you can tell it's pink. It's pink and it's gold, and I needed it. The colorway is Early Bird. It's on her strong sock, and that's 75% wool, 25% nylon. And so it's, if you can imagine, sort of regia. It feels like regia yarn or West Yorkshire spinners, because it's wool. It's not merino, it's wool. So this has to become a pair of socks for me, of course. So that's Nicole C Mendez. I also had to order some more from Nikki Slipp. I discovered her by chance. I just searched for mini skein sets, because I've been obsessed with mini skeins. Mini skein sets on Etsy, and I found Nikki Slipp. And if you remember, I showed you a muscle burrow that I knit with 2 mini sets from her, and I really loved working with the yarn, so I had to get 2 more sets. I also ordered a set for Sue in Canada. And the good thing about buying stuff for people on Etsy is that you can just ask them to ship to that person. And of course the shipping was much cheaper for Sue than for me. And she got her yarn way before me. But that makes sense because Nikki Slipp is also in Canada. And getting the shipments from her is an adventure in itself because she's all into recycling and repurposing. So she gives you all these tiny little stickers and little treasures, and she makes her own envelope. She makes these really beautiful cards that she puts together with empty boxes from empty cereal boxes, and it's an adventure. And I got these 2. This is sort of a moody rainbow. I love this one. It's called Gleaming in the Deep. And this one is called Waiting for the Reply. And I'm not going to do another muscle bra, even though it's tempting. I'll think of something to use these for. A pair of scrappy socks would be really fun because we have 6 10-gram minis in this, and that's enough for a pair of socks. So I might do scrappy socks, but I'm not sure. I'll think of something. They're too pretty to become socks, really, aren't they? I can probably find a shawl that uses minis. I can also put these together and make something different. A hat? No. I want to use these in a shawl, I think, and maybe put them together with a neutral to really make them pop. I have a book of shawls from the name of the designer escapes me. I'll put it on the screen. And there's lots of shawls that are made by utilizing minis, and I think some of them are using 10-gram minis as well. So I'll see about that, but these are too pretty to become socks, I think. I might do it anyway. The last thing I'm going to show you is a mystery club, but I'm risking it because it's a knitical roll for March by the Corner of Craft or Chromatic Yarns. I could of course wait to show you until April, but if you haven't gotten your knitical roll club for March yet, just so you know, this is going to be a spoiler, but I want to show it because it's so beautiful. And it's this absolutely gorgeous skein of yarn. And the name is Maud. For those of you who don't know, Knitical Roll is a yarn club inspired by Critical Role. It's a D&D game that's on YouTube. And kind of obsessed with Critical Role, so I of course, when she said that, when I read that Knitical Roll for March was going to be named Maud, I discovered too late that the one for February was called I Hit Things for Money, and was inspired by Ashton in campaign 3. I discovered that too late, so I'm going to be earlier on the ball for April, just to make sure. And Maud is not one of the characters in campaign 3. She's an alias for one of the characters, and the character she's an alias for is one of my favorite characters in campaign 3. So, and this is so girly and pretty, and sparkly socks. Yeah, sparkly socks for me. So that was Maud. And those are my acquisitions. So what's left is to do some, show you some prices for the Tea Time Make-Along. The hashtag is TeaTimeMal2022 and it starts April 1st. And the rules are simple. Knit a short-sleeved sweater. Doesn't have to be a tee pattern, it can be a sweater pattern that's meant to have long sleeves. You just knit it with short sleeves and it's a tee. Whips are allowed, but you can't be more than 50% done April 1st. So it's safe to cast on now, unless you're a really fast knitter. I'm going to start an everyday tee with Sandnes Line. I showed you the yarn. I can't remember what episode, 2 episodes ago. But I'm going to cast on the everyday tee by Twin Stitches Design. I knit one of those before with long sleeves, and now I'm knitting one with short sleeves. I love the shape of that sweater. I love the fit of it. So I'm just knitting another one, and this time I'm knitting it in a DK. The first time I knit it in a fingering. I'll get to play around a bit with gauge, I guess. So that's the rules. I'll be making one thread on Ravelry for everything: chatter, finished objects, whips. You can post whatever you want in the thread on Ravelry, and I hope to have lots of activity because I have 3 prizes to draw from that thread in Ravelry. So please get talking. I'll try to be more active on Ravelry in the thread than I have been before, because I'm busy. I've had a rough winter, but I'm going to try to be more active. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't think I have forgotten any rules. Only one thing. It doesn't even have to be adult sized. So any fiber, any craft, of course, short-sleeved sweater, and it's hashtag TeaTimeMal2022, because this is going to be a yearly thing. And the reason why I'm making sure you all hear the hashtag is that I have an Instagram prize. There's a pattern prize and a set of stitch markers. So one of the posts in the hashtag TeaTimeMal2022 wins these stitch markers that I made, plus a pattern that's worth up to $8 US. This and a pattern up to $8 US, and that's on Instagram, the hashtag on Instagram. I forgot to tell you. The make-along ends at the 31st of May, because June 1st I'm starting a new make-along, Arctic Summer of Socks. So May 31st is the deadline, and I'm going to draw the prizes at midnight or early June 1st, but I'm going to close the thread at midnight, May 31st. So that's the prize for Instagram, and I have 3 prizes for the Ravelry thread. Instead of having, I like the idea of having one thread on Ravelry instead of one chatter thread and one FO thread, because then people can comment on other people's projects. And I'm suddenly noticing that the Y in lady is... I've got OCD when it comes to things like that, but I'll try to ignore it. And that is what's called a tangent, ladies and gentlemen. As I was saying, I prefer to do this because then you can comment on other people's projects. You can ask for feedback when it comes to color choices. And it's much more social, I think. So everything in one thread. And the prices for the Ravelry thread are, first of all, I can mention the price I don't have to show you, because you have to... because the first prize I'm going to talk about is from KnitSwag. I was so delighted when she contacted me to donate a prize for the Tea Time Make-Along. The reason why I can't show you the prize is, of course, that you have to be in touch with her to order it, because she makes personalized stuff. So she needs to know your name or whatever you want to put on it. It doesn't have to be a name, of course. It's a mug or a wine tumbler. Your choice, and you get to personalize it. So that's one of the prizes for the tea time make-along. And the second prize is this basket. As I told you, I was going to... Elise had donated a basket for the make-along. This is the same size as the Valentine basket. And it's cats and it's yarn. What's not to love? And this is sort of yarn bowl. A fabric yarn bowl. I really love these. And you can fold them up. And they're reversible as well. So you can turn it inside out. And fold down the cats. So it looks like this. So that's the second prize for the tea time make-along. And the grand prize, or the grand prize, that sounds a bit self-involved. Or not self-involved. What was I thinking? Never mind. The last prize for the make-along are these two skeins of Arctic Crafts Fine Merino Fingering, 100% Falkland Merino, in the colorway Tidal Wave. And 2 skeins of Merino Fingering should be enough for a t-shirt. And in case, that of course depends on the size you're making, but 2 skeins is also enough for a big shawl or whatever you want to use it for. But anyways, 2 skeins of Arctic Crafts Fine Merino Fingering, 100% Falkland Merino. That's the third prize for the make-along on Ravelry. And it starts April 1st, so the next time I see you, it will be on the way. I'll put up a post on Instagram on April 1st to remind you that we're off. And that's what I have for that make-along. Well, this is editing Bente, and I forgot to mention something rather important. April 1st is something else besides the start date for the tea time make-along. It's also the day where I put up my Halloween advent in the shop. I should have mentioned this under shameless self-promotion. So, April 1st, I put the Halloween advent up in the shop. It's called the 13 Days of Halloween and consists of 13 20-gram mini skeins in random colors, but they'll be Halloweeny, sort of. So there's only going to be, I'm only putting up 10, and it's April 1st, and they will ship end of middle of August, to make sure that you have them before October 1st if you want to start October 1st. But 13 days of Halloween, my thought process is that you are going to count down to the 31st. And the reason why I only have 13 days is because I'm also planning a 12 days of Christmas. So 13 days of Halloween up in the shop April 1st. And then we can go back to our scheduled programming. Only thing remaining is words. Difficult. I'll try again. Shameless self-promotion. And it's sort of spring inspired in a lot of ways. Some of the colors are sort of fun spring colors. You think that will stay there? Hopefully. I have Spring Fling. It's a bit more intense than the Spring Fling I did last year, so it's been changed slightly. It's more neon than last year. I wanted more colors. So I have that on Polldale sock, spring fling, and I also have Polldale sock sets, 50 gram plus 20 grams of spring fling. So that's those two. And I have some pop rocks, and this is merino sock pop rocks. It's an undyed with lots of speckles, and you have to pardon my nails because I did my nails the other day and then I dyed yarn the day afterwards. I'm not sure what I was thinking. I also have pop rocks on Suri Silk Cloud. And I have some Himmel og Hav on Zebra Sock. Himmel og Hav, it translates into sky and ocean. So that's Himmel og Hav on Zebra Sock. And I have knit up some rock garden. I've dyed up. Oh, it's been a busy week. I dyed up some rock garden on Polldale and merino sock. It's one of my oldest colorways. It's a tonal grey with speckles of terracotta and neon green and some yellow. So it's a nice neutral, but not quite neutral, but it's a nice color. I knit a shawl with rock garden and guacamole. That worked really well. And I sold my last skein of kaleidoscope, so I dyed up some more kaleidoscope. One of my favorite colorways. It's time consuming to dye, but it's really beautiful. So it's on merino sock and Polldale sock. And that was kaleidoscope. And that's what I have for self-promotion. Other than that, I don't have a lot to talk about. I'll try to do a Bente's bag of holding before my next podcast. Maybe I'll do a Bente's bag of holding about the make-along when I start that. I might do a Bente's bag of holding about my junk journal, but I'm afraid to do that because I'm such a newbie and I'm probably not doing anything the way it's supposed to be done. But it's a lot of fun when I have the time to sit down with it. I have a tendency when I have time to sit on the couch for a bit, I have a tendency to grab my knitting, and that means I don't get a lot of other stuff done. It's yarn dyeing, knitting or stitch markers. That's sort of what I'm doing during the day. So hopefully I'll get some more dyeing done next week. I have been planning on spring cleaning the apartment for about a month. I still haven't started. We have something in Norwegian called dørstokkmila. It translates directly to the threshold mile. And it's sort of, if you know, you probably have a saying in English for this as well. It's when stuff seems like it can't be done, it seems impossible. It could be anything from going for a run to cleaning your house to making the bed. The biggest problem is actually starting doing it. When you just started doing it, it's a breeze. And in Norway we call that dørstokkmila. And a good example is actually going for a run, because I can sit on the couch and feel like I don't have any energy. I don't feel like running. But as soon as I put my running gear on and run the first 100 meters, I can't understand what I was moaning about. So I have a sneaking suspicion it's the same with the spring cleaning. When I just start, it will be a breeze. And we have a really tiny apartment as well, so it shouldn't be a problem. I should just start and finish it. So maybe that's what I should do next week. I'm also maybe going to, we have Easter, and the first Sunday after Easter there won't be an update, because I have my son here for Easter, and I can't imagine dyeing yarn while he's here, so probably not an update. There will be a podcast the first Friday after Easter, of course, and I'll tell you all about Easter. I'll do a special Bente's Bag of Holding about the trip to Tromsø, but there won't be an update the first Sunday after Easter, so there will be 4 weeks between 2 updates. I don't have the dates for Easter in my head at the moment, but I'll put that on the screen what update is going to skip, what update I'm skipping. I could just go ahead and get my calendar. Just a moment. This is starting to become a bit of a joke. I keep getting up to get stuff, but I didn't know when I wrote the show notes. What I do when I'm going to record a podcast, I write down the name of all the projects, the name of the designer, and what yarn I've used. Which reminds me, I didn't tell you what yarn I used for this. It's Hobby Twister. I knit this with Hobby Twister. And that's what I write down. And because I'm the epilogue lady, I come to think of stuff while I'm sitting here talking. So I'm sort of doing this on a whim. And I didn't realize I was going to talk about updates and what updates I'm skipping, and I have noted this down in my planner for April. I have Easter is week 15, so there will be an update on the 10th, April 10th, and then there will be 4 weeks until my next update. And that's I have one more podcast before Easter. April 8th is my next podcast. So that's the last podcast before Easter. And my youngest son, is arriving on the Saturday or the Sunday of that weekend. And then he's going to be here for entire Easter break. Or 1.5 weeks or something. So there won't be any dyeing, and I will have only 2 days of dyeing time or before the next update. So I don't see any point in doing an update. I'll probably be dyeing a bit, but I will just put it aside for the next update. And that was a lot of talk about shop stuff. Now Snape is resting a bit, and I don't blame him, because he's been real busy. And that was what I had. I don't think I have forgotten anything. And if I have, I'll just try to remember to write it down and talk about it in my next podcast. And I hope you have a really nice weekend. I know I'm going to have a nice weekend, because we have more or less the weekend off. When we get back tonight, we're going to a meeting tonight, and when we get back, we can relax and enjoy our weekends. And next week is a normal work week for both of us. So it will be good to get back to the normal state of things. So enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you, if not before, so I'll see you in 2 weeks. And remember, Tea Time Make Along 2022 starts April 1st, and the hashtag is TeaTimeMal2022. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.